Okay, so welcome to Meet the Authors 2021, an event created by Loli Castellón and the Julio Robles Association. And the purpose of this is just to talk about your book and see, you've got 5 minutes to do your introduction, and then there's questions afterwards, okay? So Almudena is here because she's a publisher, okay? And then her publisher is called La Rueca, and it's a desktop publishing house. The author only has to worry about writing. We take care of the rest, okay? This model allows you to work in 3 different ways, okay? So the first one, we make over your book and print the copies you want, and the sales are 100% for you. And number 2 is we help you to market your books on digital sales platforms, including Amazon. In this case, it is printed on demand, but it must be taken into account that the quality of the book is inferior just because it's only online, okay? This possibility allows you to reach a greater number of clients, and in this case, you take 30% of the sales, okay? At Editorial La Rueca, we give you the option of opening a personalized account to the author, receiving 60% that Amazon will give you. And number 3 is the company prints the copies, is also the distributor, and they are in charge of including your book in the databases of the main bookstores, Casa del Libro, FNAC, Corte Inglés, and many more. If someone wants to buy your book in one of these bookstores, they must do so on demand by requesting it through the ISBN. In this case, you take 10% of the sales. This is all summarized, and I hope it helps. Editorial La Rueca is open to new initiatives for any author. It is an open publication proposal with the greatest professionalism and responsibility for any new and established author. We'll be delighted to help you, or Almudena will be delighted to help you fulfill your dream of publishing your work. And all of these detail is in the association blog anyway, which you can access through this link anywhere. Okay, so now that we've talked about Almudena's business, right? let's talk about Cheryl's. Okay, hello, Cheryl.
Hello.
Just present yourself.
Okay, right. Well, I've only just received copies of my book just over a week ago. And it's called The Box of Beautiful Letters, because this is the box that I found up in a cupboard. Well, I knew I had it somewhere, but it was stuffed full of letters that were written between my parents at the beginning of the Second World War. So when I first tucked them away, when I cleared my parents' house, I just, didn't really want to think about them. I didn't know what to do with them. But when in lockdown, I found them again, stuffed at the back of the cupboard. This time I thought I must decide. Either I put them into an archive somewhere, in which case they may never be looked again at, or perhaps I should just read 1 or 2, because they obviously had been preserved, because written on the side of that box it says belles lettres, meaning beautiful letters. So I girded myself, because it's a bit odd reading letters written privately between 2 people. I started to read, and they were beautiful. And I thought, the family needs to read some of this. So I started writing a little bit, and then I started transcribing, just using my iPad and speaking, until I had some extracts, which I then let my friends read. And they said, you need to make it into a book and add a bit of history to make the context. So that's what I did. And then I wanted it to publish it as a book. So I did try the idea of doing it just through Amazon, but I also thought I wanted it to get the sort of audience by putting the books in bookshops. So I could put, I wanted to put books in the bookshops where the events take place. So I found that might not be the case if I just did it through Amazon. So I then tried a way of self-publishing it. You must tell me when I've used my time up, by the way.
No. Okay. Yeah, Lolly will do. Lolly's
time. Yes. So I tried then to find a self-publisher, and that was very difficult because they all vary such a lot and are so expensive. And what I wanted, I had used an editor, but I also wanted to use my brother's design for the cover. So I wanted somebody who would do the rest, who had the expertise of the rest to make it into a book. And that was tricky. And I don't know, I had a lot of problems along the way, but finally I have got there.
But that's why Almudena's proposition is very good, because she does it all for a price that, if we knew about Almudena before.
I know, that's just what I needed, actually. Yes.
So can you read one of the letters?
Yes,
actually?
Rather. The letters, kept going from as... this, of course, is my mother and my father trained to be a pilot, so he ended up moving further and further away, and finally he was in Iceland. So to start with, they were able to meet up at a station in London. My mother was in London, so she, in the book, are a lot of her experiences of the bombs falling round about, and his of learning to fly. But finally, they were in Iceland. So this is one from Iceland where she's waiting for the letters. This morning, the seemingly unending silence in the way of letters from you was broken at last. I tore to the door at the postman's knock, and he handed me 2 letters in your dear familiar handwriting. I glanced at the envelope first. One was quite normal, but the other was ominous little note on it, damaged by seawater. I opened that first one and found to my consternation that inside, between pages on which the ink had run till the writing was almost unreadable, a solid white mass, and the promised photographs. At first, I thought the photographs were useless, but I got busy with a kettle of water over the gas and tried to steam them apart. The first one was stuck to the paper, and all the others stuck fast to each other, but I held them in the steam until they were soft and damp, and I attempted to peel the top one off. First of all, your inevitable gumboots appeared, then your legs. And before it could stick on again, I peeled the photo right off, the one of you sitting on the petrol can. It's lovely, darling. I do like it ever so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Right. Okay. Is that the time gone, Lolly? Yeah.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Is that the time gone?
Yes, the time is over. Okay. But it's really interesting, and we are happy to listen to you. Yes,
Can I just say something to Cheryl? Okay. Right. I like the one that when they talk about actually it's because Lily was into church quite a lot, wasn't she?
Yes.
And I like the ones that where they're discussing, you know, Martin killing people against the will of God.
Yes,
or,
that's right.
Yeah. How did they resolve that one? Because that is a difficult one.
I think it was because my mother's family were all very strong pacifists. And in fact, her brother went to prison in the war because he wouldn't fight. So it was difficult for them. But then my father had always, since being a little boy, been interested in aeroplanes. So it was logical that it was the only way he had to use his skills. And they felt that the greater evil had to be stopped. And therefore it was the right thing to do. So, but very difficult discussions, yes.
Beautiful way of putting it, you know, because it was a war, wasn't it? I mean, so it's something that they didn't plan anyway.
No.
You know, but it was happening, wasn't it?
Yes. And the book actually starts with them having a lot of fun because they had a lot of friends of their own age. And they actually met in a youth group that went on a holiday to Paris. So it was actually in Paris that they fell in love. So it was very hard going from all that wonderful activity and having holidays together and doing things with young people to then gradually not seeing anybody and moving further and further apart.
Yeah, I'm thinking at that time that must have been really difficult for everyone, you know, that they were having the. I mean, I can't imagine. We've got our own lives, right? And then suddenly we're separated, and you are in one place and the other in another place. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, it's time.
Time up.
Okay, sorry, because there's more people waiting.
Yes.
It's okay. Now, are you going to conduct this session, Maria? Or okay.
And he's on the phone next.
Yes, he's waiting. Okay. When you want, we can. Thank you, Cheryl, for your explanation. Go ahead, Maria.
Okay, so Dr. Cole, hello. Can you say your microphone? Your microphone.
Hello.
Hello.
My microphone, yes.
It's Dr. Cole time because Cheryl talked before because she has to go. Okay.
Well, she may have to go, but you know. Okay, Dr. Cole, it's your turn.
Yes. So, how do you want me to go about this?
Right. So you got 5 minutes to discuss your book, and you can read something from it.
Okay, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is just okay. And thank you very much. And I greet all of. I'm sure you're all in afternoon. Those of you in the United Kingdom, those of you in the United States, I'm sure it's just 17 minutes past 12. And I am here in Florida, in Central Florida called Gainesville. It's a lovely place here. And if you know the place, we say you can play golf all year round in Florida.
Okay.
The only thing that you might not like is that Trump lives here. That's a bummer. But hey, I have a book with a publisher. It's been lying with the publisher for 2 years now, and nothing has happened to it, but I still hold on to it, and I'm still tinkering with it. It's a collection of poems, and it is titled An African Voice Abroad, Lagos Boy, An African Voice Abroad. And basically what I intend to do with this is to share with people various aspects of my life growing up in the city of Lagos. So I start the volume with the voice of a city. It's a prose which allows me to play around with a city in poetry. How are cities reflected in different poems? So I tackle that first, and then I go on to write about various instances, things that have occurred to me, in my life in Lagos. But let me just start and give you a teaser of a prologue. It's the voice of a city. The birds sing melodious tunes, but the ears of those on early morning rush to work are blocked by metals, men, and their cargoes. The city dwellers cannot hear their own heartbeat, nor the drum beat in the defeated forests. Quote, "You have not come here to rest," is a common voice in the ears of laborers and those who pay them sub-wages. You can hear the loud noise of the stiletto heels of dressed-to-kill ladies on the terrazzo office floors, and imagine the flood of thoughts rising and climbing in the minds of job seekers. Seek, and you will fry in windowless offices where corrupt, evil servants who state their woes as reasons for the systematic rot sell free forms. How rotten the system has become. Only the stones of a nation can tell. The city has no soul. It lost it to the aspiration of, I will soon be rich. I once was rich, and my break will come soon. Tell the city folks that the village sun still shines and dries our produce from the farms, and our old women still stand firm like poles. One day, I shall buy a megaphone to talk to the city lords and lords of the city who have created concrete jungles and gardens of aliens. So the prologue is a little longer than that, and it takes a look at different aspects of the city. I come from a city in Nigeria called Lagos. And like everybody who has left home and gone abroad, the city is always on your mind. Lagos on my mind. I was a proud member of the margins of literature in the city of Lagos, where words written were signatures for the mean and their meanness. Do not ask me if I still know the other members. My answer is that I do not remember their faces. I can only recall the smell of our collective feces and the odor of stinking reasons written with bile. I see piles of unpublished efforts and lies of reviewers who send rejection slips to induce sleeps in burdened dreamers. I tell you, Lagos was so tough on writers with little or no talents. One reviewer wrote about my work, Kole, go sit down and write at 2 o'clock when others are asleep. Maybe you'll be inspired to write something worth reading. Here I am, still working on my craft 20 years after. So that's the piece of the prologue. Now let me just read one poem from the whole collection, and then I would let you be. And this is a very short one. It's called City Born and Lagos Bred. City born and Lagos bred. The gathering was told, I was born in Lagos, and I allow its raging fire to burn in me, not in a mean way, but in ways meaningful. I told them of my walk around in Accra and of the work I did in Nairobi. Have I not been to Kibera open air market? Now I market strange ideas about jazz with its supposed roots in Yoruba language. Can jazz be a corrupted version of Jazzy? Now you see a Lagos-born activist acting like an intellectual in an institute of ideas. I told them, Lagos is always born in me. I am here without ears. I'm here not as a destitute at this institute of ideas. I will dare and be dared, if only to endear my mind to texts and their contexts. We are here to test theories and theorize practice in ways that may set the past in contest with the fluid present. The city and those who live in it are daily focused on rancor. Thus, the nitty-gritty of where Africans live and how will claim our attention. So that's one of it. It was written during an institute. And so that's my offering.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, do we have time to go to Lourdes now?
Yeah, and we have to listen to Macarena too, because
Okay.
she have a book in English too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall we go for Lourdes? Lourdes?
Okay, I'm glad to see you and hear you. Sorry for not being here last day because I had to work all the afternoon and evening. So I'm so sorry. I hope that you enjoyed my video.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can see you well. So that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about a book that I introduced to you last year. It was called in Spanish El Sueño de Calpurnia, but I also translated it into English. So this is what it deals with. Okay. So it is about Calpurnia's dream. Is about Caesar's wife, who is writing a letter to his late husband. He has just died, confessing her anxieties, her frustration, her thought, her own psychology, and even all her passion, her long-lasting passion for him, despite their different ages. And though he has already become a very old man, an aging man, so to say, full of fears, outworn by power and battles. Nevertheless, he's still tender towards her, as he frequently calls her my Calpurnilla. No? Through Calpurnia's words, we see her frustration for not being able to bear an heir, to give a son, or an heir to Caesar. And we also behold her loneliness that is only relieved by her lifelong friends. Portia, for instance, whose husband will later kill Caesar. Portia is Brutus' wife. Then she's Cato's wife, and Cornelia Sulla, who was Caesar's former mother-in-law. This lady, Cornelia, will turn out to be crucial for Calpurnia's development because she will introduce her to a relative of hers, a sort, we call a sort of foreign priestess by whom Calpurnia will soon feel captivated. Therefore, she very anxiously desires to be initiated in the ancient lore and knowledge that she represents. This lore and this knowledge is quite near what we call now shamanism. Calpurnia's real purpose is to find a place of her own, far beyond being just Caesar's neglected wife. Shamanic rites are present all through the story that Calpurnia tells us. The magic use of lights, scents, color shades, and music, they are all entwined at the same time, linger throughout the atmosphere of the novel. Calpurnia even becomes capable to experience visions and foreboding. For instance, when she seems to envision her own husband and Egyptian Queen Cleopatra sailing along the river Nile. Apart from Calpurnia's eerie experiences, supernatural experiences, we must also remark how Roman life and historic facts are described in this novel. For instance, we get into Calpurnia's thoughts and body and heart the very morning of the Ides of March, when she is informed that her husband has been stabbed to death 23 times. We also witness Caesar's funeral, and also we see Cleopatra visiting Rome and all their exotic magnificence, majesty around her. But we also see extreme misery in the poorest Roman neighborhoods, all full of hustle, of dirt and dust. Beyond all this, there is a character that is quite remarkable. This character, he's a man, a sort of a priestly wise man, a sort of a priest, of a magician. And despite of being introduced as a foreigner, he's clearly a Roman. He is a mysterious man. He looks like quite beyond any ordinary man. He looks even uncanny, eerie. And Caesar himself, who knows him, will call him a being beyond time. Since he first met him when he was a quaestor in Gades, Caesar, when he was sent to Gades in southern Spain, Cadiz, at some time in the novel. Caesar makes us think that he once saved his life. Therefore, that mysterious man, this intriguing man, seems to be, how could I say, like weaving, entwining a sort of spiritual and emotional dependence among Caesar himself, Calpurnia, and this man himself. Anyway, he seems to be a very famous character in Roman history, though he doesn't reveal his identity, and it's quite clear that he could be Lucius Cornelius Sulla, the terrible dictator who is still alive and retired into a sort of a monastery, so to call a pagan monastery. Okay. Anyway, can I read a bit of a chapter? Well, a little bit, or is it too late?
Okay, we finish this session in 5 minutes because the time is over.
Okay,
but if you want to read something short, really short, because the time is only 5 minutes to close this session. Macarena, when you want, you can start.
Okay, hello, good afternoon. I appreciate very much to have this opportunity. So I will present you my second book. It's about tales. The name is Cosmic Tales from Here. I am expecting for the physical book. I think it arrives tomorrow.
Sorry, Macarena, we hear you so far. Could you speak louder?
Is better like this now?
A little bit.
It's the volume. So you need to bring up the volume.
Yeah, but this is, it's in the top of the phone.
Oh.
Okay.
So
maybe.
let's see if I can use this.
Right. Okay.
The microphone could be como destapado.
Yeah. Covered.
Covered. Yeah.
Hello?
Oh,
It's better
much
now?
better. See?
Much
Yeah.
better?
Much better.
So, okay. Let's see how can I put. We really need to understand about these technological matters, you know, because so I was presenting myself, Macarena Miletic. I am a writer and a therapist, and I'm presenting here my second book. It's about tales for children, for adults, and big children inside the adults. The name is Cosmic Tales from Here. I show you the cover. And I would like to read the beginning of one of the tales. There are 12 tales, and it's very funny because in these 12 tales, I have one, there is a dog that is trying all the time to let couples meet again. The name of this dog is Ul. It's a dog, and it reminds something like El Cancerbero in Spanish, that it was the one who helped the souls to go to the other side. And this one, Ul, is taking care to the couples to find each other here in this side. So it's very funny, so things like this. So this tale is named Sun Without Fear. It's a memory of a friend of mine, Maria Jose, astrologer, and a troop of children, because she has many children, like 6 or 7, I don't remember. And this tale is based on a real event. That house was in Cantabria. It was called by everyone the Indian house, since it was built in colonial style. This style of house belonged to people who returned from the Americas with large fortunes. They had done well because they had achieved the dream of the time, to get rich and show everyone the wealth they had achieved overseas. The garden of the house was large, with a tall, very slender palm tree. It had acclimatized perfectly to the garden and the environment. House and the palm tree were surprising even from afar because they were unusual in that area. We are actually talking about a haunted house. The Indian house was a haunted house like in fairy tales. We spent the night on the top floor of that house, and all the rooms, called alcoves, were very, very cold the whole time, freezing, and much more at night. The only way to try to warm the sheets was with
It's okay.
The only way to try to warm the sheets was with a very old electric blanket, which looked like a master's pad because it was placed under the sheets. No one knew if it would actually work. All of us children and adults wore more thick wool socks to be able to sleep. In the early morning, it looked like a cold storage room, like a refrigeration room on a ship or something. The light bulbs, very old, were swinging back and forth the whole time, and the way to the bathroom looked like something out of a movie. You had to tiptoe quietly, trying to not disturb anything, to keep from getting scared. In the morning, the children said they shivered as they were trying to fall asleep, or they seemed to hear noises like rustling and crackling in the walls. It must be said that all the children were very sensitive, interested in fairies and gnomes, whom they considered their friends. During the breakfast, they began to play make-believe with stories like some they had seen in TV or virtual games. Among expressions of amazement, they imagined the living dead coming through the walls and veils fluttering up and down through the ceiling. One of them, Sergio, said he was sure he heard some little noises in the kitchen, as if someone was trying to get his attention. In his imagination, he thought he heard children or what sounded like babies crying. As if to amuse ourselves, we start to play with the pendulum. This tool is very sensitive to the surrounding environment, its energies, and can be used to find water, among other things. With the movements of the pendulum in my hand, the children were amazed at the invisible abilities of the energy to swing, as if by magic, that piece of crystal hanging from a chain. They began to want to know more, to try for themselves. They learned to concentrate, to ask the pendulum simple questions, and it worked. Their faces showed such excitement. I don't know if I have much time, but this is the beginning of one of the tales.
Okay, thank you, Macarena. Maria? Maria, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Maybe we can start the questions time, or do you want to talk about your book?
Okay. My book is going to be it's about HP and the business culture. Okay, so at the minute, what is happening is that things are changing because we all have to, or almost everybody that work in an office, they're working from home, so they have to adapt to what is happening in the world. Okay, some people didn't want to go back to the office, and even though they could, and some companies like the multinationals, like we've got Ernst & Young as an example, they and some others are closing offices because more and more people want to work from home. So in order to do this, I got HP Hewlett Packard example, okay, and what they did to change their culture so they could adapt to the new customers and the new ways of working as well. So in the first place, they had a strategy. The structure, it was in conflict as well, and the system had a fast decision making and the skills focusing customer requirements as always. But the thing that happened with the HP is that they have different approaches to business, so they have to think about how they were gonna do business in the new world. Okay, so the most important part, it was the shared values of HP to put the customer first, and then a lot of staff didn't want the change, so that's the difficulty here. So need a strategy to change the whole culture, but bringing in the people as well. And this is what mine is about, really. Okay, so starting with the leadership had to be trained in the new ways of doing things, so they could actually communicate to the people underneath them. Okay, and the HR, the human resources practices as well, they have changed because people didn't want the old format of working. So that's why that had to change as well. And they use what it was the Lewin's three-step model, which is the unfreeze, which is the stabilize the culture, and then moving, which modify attitudes, and refreezing, which is the new direction. Okay, the problem with HP was the subcultures. Subcultures are, you know, when you got groups, different departments, and they'll have their own way of working, and that had to change as well because of the big picture of the company changing. And the point of all of this is that more and more people, more and more companies are looking at the culture to move forward into the new era, and that's what my book is about. Okay. I won't say anymore. Okay.
Thank you so much. Then I don't know if I think it's better put the Janet's video at the summarize, because we have no enough time to ask the authors that
Okay.
is
Right.
here. Then we start the questions time.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any questions for any author? Anybody wants to ask something?
Yes. Actually, to Macarena about the cosmic talks. Okay. Am I still on my microphone? Yeah. Okay. So Macarena, you said that your tales are there are 12 tales, and what are the other tales? So the one that you talked about is about the haunted house. So how did you put together the tales? Do they have a thread theme, or is it all different themes each tale? Oh, Macarena's got difficulty.
No, it's okay. No, let's see if I understand the question. If they have a link inside, you mean if they have a line inside?
Yeah. So is there a link between the tales, or is it just different? Like,
I'm trying to do an evolution of the tales and have a new aspect to write and to read and to understand the tales. I mean, with new characters. For example, there is one named Raúl that is in a museum, and there is a whale that talked to him. And what happened with the boy is that he has rage, and he is trying to resolve, and the whale helped him. You know, so I'm trying to give new values through new characters. There is a tale that I love very much that is honoring Rafa Nadal. The name is The Racket, because I think that this man is giving the humankind a lot of values, and we get used to see him winning or something, and nothing else. Oh, okay, Rafa Nadal is winning. Oh, okay, well, okay. Oh, well. No, and I think it's very important. And I have a tale to express what, like a dream, something from my past life or a past dream, and how everything becomes new in this new life, and life is first, for example, against war. And for example, this is one about Rafa Nadal. So they are trying to be for personal growth, like healing tales, you know, with something special. I can read you the list of the 12 if you think it could be interesting. My point is that it's in English and Spanish, because I really want to go on this way of writing. And I have a very good friend helping me for the English version of the tales, that it was something special, no? Not only in Spanish, but in English. And when I was talking yesterday about this, and when I heard or read in English, I think sometimes I think I'm thinking in English when I'm writing.
Yeah.
So there's like a bridge inside the two languages inside of me, you know, and it's very special for me. May I give you the list of the tales, for example?
Okay.
She has she connection. Oh,
It's going to get released.
okay.
Okay. So, well, Macarena is coming back. I just want to ask Lourdes.
Okay, let's see that something happened with the tails here. Something changed here. Let me see.
Oh,
okay.
To see you the to do the list.
Okay. I mean, you can just read the list if you want. You don't need to show it. Okay.
Sorry?
You can just read the titles. Do you want to read the titles? Yeah.
Well, no, tell me what you want me to do. I am looking for the page that something happened, you know. So I don't know what happened here.
Don't worry about it, because there's other things that maybe other people want to ask you, or they want to ask. Okay.
I'm going to try to find it well, and I tell you, okay?
Okay. All right. Great.
The time is
Lourdes, I liked when you talked about the supernatural experiences and the shamanism. Okay. And I just didn't get it before that your book was linked to that. How
yes,
do
somehow it has many different lines of perspectives. Yes. Different perspectives. Yes.
So how is that linked? What? How do you think that shamanism is like a supernatural experience?
Somehow it depends. It could be either for the person who experiences that. I'm not talking from an objective point of view, but from the point of view of the person who experiences that.
Okay. So reading your book could give you that kind of impression of having a
the main character.
Yeah.
Yes, the character. I mean, the character who is experiences this, because Calpurnia, I mean, Caesar's wife, gets in touch with sort of a priestess who was relative to Cornelia Silla, and then she looks and sounds somehow like a Celtic priestess. She sounds, and then Celts and many pre-Christian civilization and many other civilization apart from European civilization used to experience with shamanism in some aspects, based on the ingestion of drugs, for instance, or even not only drugs, but also, how could I say, visualizing some things according to the use of lights, different shades, light shades, light colors, others. All these experiences that I also use as a therapy nowadays, as alternative therapies. But it's somehow all this has its roots in shamanism in some cases. Well, I don't want to give a general idea.
Yeah. In some cases, I think that it sounds really interesting, actually. Okay, so I just wanted to ask something to Dr. Cole as well. Okay, right. So, Dr. Cole, so is the African Boys Abroad? Okay, so is that what you call it, the African Boys Abroad?
Yeah, the African Boys Abroad. It's just to reflect the immigrant's experience. When you
Okay.
leave home, voice of all the things that you bring along, voice is the most important. And usually you want to share your innermost thoughts,
Okay.
especially a reconstruction of the past.
Okay.
You know that of everything that equalizes the world, that makes us a leveler, is yesterday.
Yeah.
None of us can go back into yesterday.
Okay. No.
We're all banished from yesterday. All of us, all humanity. You can't change anything from yesterday. It's all happened. So whatever you see will be a reconstruction of yesterday. And it is only through voice or text.
Yeah. It caught my attention that you talk about the smell of the city of Lagos, and it was tough as well. I mean, do you mean tough like it looks tough when you walk through it, or is it the feeling of the people that it is the life in the city is tough?
All cities are tough. The very first time I met a mapping of smells of city was in the UK. Somebody, a woman working in one of the universities, was going around different cities in the world and recording the smell of a city. And if it's a very interesting idea to just go around a city smelling. They all have the smell of a city does not have to be bad, but it tells a story. As you move from one spot to the other, the smell of a city will change. Now, when I say Lagos is tough, every city is tough because most of us have come into the city, and the city is the engine. Most cities, like you find them, they are the engines of creativity.
Yeah.
Cities are mostly places where artists develop, because there's nobody that is looking behind your shoulders. Most of us in cities do not know each other. And in a place like America, we call where we live apartments, which means that we live apart. In Britain, they call it flats, meaning that there is a flat rate for everybody who lives in a building. It doesn't happen like that here. And the television, you know, God for us all, every man to himself or woman to herself, but the television for us all. So the city can be very hostile, can be very tough for people who do not have survival skills. You need survival skills to be able to make it in a city. But it's a place that will constantly play on your consciousness to create, to voice your thoughts, to share your opinion, to look for like-minded people. But if you were back in your town or village, everybody knows you and you know everybody, and you know where to go if somebody offends you. You don't go to the court. You go to your uncles, you go to your aunties. But the city is not like that. And Lagos is one of the very brutal cities because it's a mega city. It's a city, a very small space with over 20 million people living there. But
yeah,
it's a city with energy, just like in New York.
Yeah, and I think people that live in the city, as Carlos and Macarena could maybe say the same thing. Yeah, you can open your microphones.
Yes, I have the list. I would like to to tell it to you, and I
Okay.
am remembering that at the end I put two tales, and one of these is from Federico García Lorca.
Oh.
Is the name The Telegraph, and I have an English also, and maybe you would like to know how it sounds. I'm going to the list.
Okay.
The first one. The name
Switch
is
off.
Ul, The Adventures of the Sertpus Canin. Is the one that helped couples to find here each other.
Okay.
The second one is I Began to Read Sand Without Fear. The other is Written in the Sky. The other is The Mystery of the Famous Inner Girl. I think it's the first time that we write about the inner girl. The other is Whales and Elephants. This is our friend Raúl. The other is 7-Color Traffic Light. It's about little dragons having some adventures, some tricks. The other is The Origin of Pets. The other, Nationality of the Healing Crystals. The Racket. The Star That Wanted to Be Born Here. The Musical Flight of the Bee. And Your Yellow Folder. These are the 12 tales of this book.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions, any more questions from anybody to the authors that have actually talked about their books today? Any more questions?
I'm afraid not.
No? No more questions? Right. ¿Sería posible unas pocas líneas sobre mi obra? Yeah, yeah. Is that Carlos?
Yes, it's Carlos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's possible. This alternative, but it's a little text. It's 10 lines only. Maybe it's possible.
Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
You see me? See, yes.
Yes, we can listen and see you. Go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your attention. My idea to present the historical novel Deer and Snakes, you understand? Deer and Snake?
Yeah.
Is to comment to authors and publishers that I'm very pleased to share with you a literary genre that, in my opinion, should be regenerated and somewhat to earn the title of historical. I wanted to tell you that it will be a pleasure for me to be able to translate it. Good translation from Spanish into English. It's a question. It's a little bit. Duly edit and disseminate such work to English-speaking readers. I know from good sources that this type of historical novel set in the Bronze Age, proto-historical, besides containing its usual adventures and characters, but Atlantic aesthetic and a setting that could surely please a wide range of English readers.
I think,
and thank you very much for your kind interest. Yes,
I think Carlos, it'll be very interesting if you could translate your book into English, because it talks about all the actually Spanish culture in a way that I haven't heard before. You know, from the point of view of the anthropological view and the historical view. Yes, so I think it would be very interesting if you could do that and then present it next year. That would be fantastic.
The Bronze Age is a culture, very very approached at the Wessex culture in the south of England. Yes, it's very very connected. The northwest Hispanic, Northwest Hispanic, Spain, and the island and the south or west Great Britain. There is a lot of readers in the Anglophones. Yes, maybe American readers, but why not? And this is my interest in this publication. Only this question, and maybe Almudena is interested in this.
Yeah, I think you should do it and present it next year and put it for sale for the English-speaking countries, I think. Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, we've got 6 minutes to the end of this session. Okay, the time is running. Okay.
Thank you very much, Loli, and authors and publishers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for this meeting. And I hope see you again next year with new books, new adventures, and so on. Okay. Thank you. Do you want to say anything else, Maria?
Lourdes. A salutation for Lourdes is
okay. Fine.
10 years readers. He see what at me, and well, the first occasion the salutation.
We can meet
a pleasure.
online. Yes.
I'm happy.
Yes, we have been collaborators for a long time, many years.
Yeah, many years.
Many collaborators for many years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so are we finished, Loli? So are we done?
Yes, I think so. But if anybody wants to ask something, we've got 5 minutes.
Okay. Any more questions from anybody else to other people? Okay. If there's no more questions, then we're happy to say goodbye to everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you everybody for joining today, and thank you to the participants as well, Macarena, Lourdes, and Dr. Cole, and Carlos as well for his intermission as well, and of course we will see you again next year. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
You can tomorrow there's another session, the last session. Of course, you can join in as listeners. I'll be joining in to that one. So I hope I will see you tomorrow in the next session. Okay.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Dr. Cole. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hasta mañana, Loli.
Hasta mañana. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Tomorrow.
Hasta luego.
Hasta
Adiós.
luego.
Hasta luego.
Hasta mañana.
Hasta mañana. Adiós.
Adiós.
Gracias.
Gracias a ti. Gracias.